Colorado, just last week, legislation passed a wide audit of the Marijuana Enforcement Division because all of last year they only conducted 80 compliance checks, where the Liquor Enforcement Division conducted 2,400. So keep in mind, just because something is being regulated doesn't mean there's anyone regulating it.
Dr. Phil, I have to speak to this. When I first started working on regulation and legalization across the country, one of the first things I saw is that they were being moved by the voter population through voter referendum. And what were our elected officials doing? Nothing. Sitting on their hands instead of coming forward and ensuring that the policy that would be passed is appropriate, to ensure that the proper regulations are there, to pay attention, as you were saying, to the Black community, to these poor communities, so that we don't end up with too many dispensaries in one location. Our elected officials, in my opinion, dropped the ball big time when the people voted for it to legalize it. They still did nothing, and they should have been right there at the forefront, putting forth appropriate regulation. Now they're behind the ball, and they're trying to catch up. But they were absent at the beginning of this, and now they have to catch up. And it's up to us as voters to ensure that they do their job in putting forth the appropriate regulation to protect our children in a regulated market.
We know how that moves.
James, I wish you were right. I would pray that you're correct, but that's just not the reality of what happened. Look at us in California. The people who are regulating the cannabis industry is the cannabis industry. They don't have people like me on their boards. They don't look at the science and the data. As a matter of fact, we have one bill that asked for warning labels, just to mention, for the public to know about. And the cannabis industry has just squashed that, just to know information, just like we have for tobacco. And I'm not against use. I just want the public to be informed, to make informed decisions. And that was just hidden. So I wish what you had to say was true, but it's just not reality.
Right, but you just said what I was trying to say. You just made my case, is that you said one bill. There should be 15 or 20 bills, whatever needs to take place.
But they're being squashed.
One of the biggest things that I would think argues for the legalization aspect of it is I am so worried, I mean, every day, day in and day out, about these street drugs that are getting laced with fentanyl.
I know people that never would have voluntarily used PCP that were exposed to it by getting marijuana that was on the illicit market. There are people, you talk about gateway, there's people that don't want to use it that are being given it when it's illegal.
Yeah, but now
and
that it's
unfortunately,
legal,
if you look at, let me finish, please.
Sure, please.
If you look at the data, when I was in high school, before any state had legalization or medical cannabis, about the same time you were in high school, 81% of high school seniors said that they could easily get marijuana. And about 70%, I want to say, of 10th graders. Both of those numbers have dropped by double digits now that we have 37 states. So the data suggests it's harder for young people to get cannabis.
That data, wait a
no
second.
way.
That data, to be fair, I know the data
No
that you're
way.
talking about. It's 8th, 9th, and 10th graders monitoring the futures. It's a NISDA data. 2020, the year of the pandemic, there is less use in that data set.
Look at 19, look at 18,
Yeah,
look at
so
17.
there's this. But also, that's one group that they're looking at. They're not looking at increased ER visits. They're not looking at 80% of juveniles who are in the criminal system. 80% of them said that they're dabbing. 89% said that they're vaping. They did not look at the drug of choice for teens who go into addiction treatment is marijuana.
The thing I want to underline that you were saying, people that don't want a gateway to something else get it when they don't know they're getting it. And this thing about fentanyl, 40% of the fake prescription pills that people are getting have lethal doses of fentanyl in them. And if they're getting it in this street drugs, marijuana, it's very, very dangerous. Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.